Happy Patch Tuesday, everybody. We're back for September. Wake me up when Patch Tuesday is over, when it ends. Oh, sorry.
Wow. Wow. I'm so sorry, everyone, for him.
I came in a little too excited this week. It's just a good week. But it is pretty crazy in CVE world. Henry, I think you... We'll hang on here. Hold up. Cut that.
Do some intros first.
Yeah, I did no intros. We just jumped right into this. All right.
Now they know us by now.
That's true. They do know us. So, you know what? Cue the music. All right. Yeah. Henry, tell us about what we've got in store this week.
Shall I dive in?
Oh, please.
Well, per usual, there's quite a bit this month. I wish we had more time to talk about it and go through it all. Lots of buffer and memory overflow type vulnerabilities. Like, I think when I was going through all of them, I saw the phrase use after free, I think like 12 different times. There's also a good handful of RCEs and EOPs and you name it. It's tons to discuss as usual, but we do try to keep it focused on those vulns that where exploitation is more likely. I think I counted 6 of them this month. And there are, I think, 5 CVEs this month related to Hyper-V, 4 elevation of privilege and 1 RCE. But there's one in particular that is tagged as exploitation more likely, which is CVE 2025-54098, Windows Hyper-V elevation of privilege. And again, this one looks like just a privilege escalation straight to system due to some sort of improper access control in Hyper-V, and that's really all the info that they put in there. And since it is tagged as exploitation more likely, I'm going to assume it's easily exploitable kind of vulnerability, or at least one that would be an attractive target to attackers, probably because of ease of exploitation. I don't know, what do you think, Seth?
Those ones like that, with the kind of low bar of entry, it makes it a lot more appetizing to people that are, just getting into the attack space, and some of these being easy targets, getting into a big corporate network, it's a good first target.
The script kiddies, if you will.
Yes, script kiddies, as we call them. Yeah. In Hyper-V terms, I was doing a little bit of research there, before this, believe it or not, did some research before this. And I counted, I want to say 11 different CVEs this year, not counting the 5 in this one, but there's at least 11, 7 of them involving some sort of elevation of privilege to some degree. And honestly, now that I think about it, this one could be even more impactful if you have Hyper-V enabled on workstations. Because I think you can do that on Pro and Enterprise, if I'm not mistaken.
Honestly, I believe that, and also I really feel like we've had a lot of Hyper-V. That number might be higher. We've had a lot of Hyper-V elevation of privileges or RCEs this year. So I would argue that number might be higher, depending on what came out, what didn't come out, that kind of stuff. So, but
well, spicy take. I like Hyper-V.
Yeah, look.
If I'm forced to use Windows, let me clarify.
Yeah, I will say ESXi's bar of entry is extremely expensive. They used to be kind of the go-to, just in terms of niceties and UI and everything like that. But then they just kept raising the price. Every year, your bill would go up $30K. Hyper-V, she's all reliable, She's always there, waiting to be installed in features on your domain controllers or Windows Server. Not domain controllers. Don't do that. That is the worst idea ever. I don't know why I said that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's spicy. Um, I
Enough
know
from
we typically choose like likely to be exploited ones on this one, but every time, like I feel like there's a lot of the same ones that we get on these,
yes.
and anytime I see something new and interesting, I just kind of like to take a peek at it and bring it up. Um, there was like a past one where like there was like an Xbox like controller wireless dongle firmware issue that allowed people to crack networks that they were on, and I just thought that was like, the most interesting thing. This one, there's an Xbox Live Auth Manager one, which does like a Windows elevation of privilege vulnerability. So, um, if you're logged into that on any of your devices, this less enterprise, more commercial based. There's an improper link resolution on that one, which allows like an authorized attacker to elevate privileges locally. It would basically give them access to delete targeted like files on the system. And I think that one's interesting. There's another one that's another use after free um, around the phone. Like there's a new phone extension. I don't know if you've updated recently on Windows 11 and Windows 10, but there's a new phone functionality. There's always been the one for Android, but they added iPhone
Wait,
like
what?
compatibility to it. Yeah, on Windows 11, there is. It used to be, I think, just Android, at least from what I've always seen. Or am I incorrect on that?
I don't know. That's really interesting.
Yeah, like maybe I'm out of the loop on this one. I don't know, but I'm like 90% sure it was always Android for like the phone stuff. Because if you had a Mac, you could use that for your Windows or for your iPhone, and then like your Windows to manage notifications and text and stuff from your Android phone. I've
Uh,
noticed recently now advertises Android and iOS devices to add to it, and so I'm speculating that when they did that update, that they created this use after free in the flyout panes for that. So this is around that. So basically, if the attack, it requires the attacker to already be on the box, whether it be from phish credentials or some type of initial foothold, or even rogue store apps. So please, like, don't forget to like check the applications you're installing from the Windows Store. Um, I mean, let's just put this blanket one out there. Chrome extensions are hot right now in terms of like getting initial access to a device and getting out of that sandbox. Windows, App Store stuff, no different. Um, so basically, what happens is when when the date picker flyout like gets triggered through some, it's
sounds
super
so weird.
obscure. It's that's why I wanted to bring this one up, because I feel like some of ours are so straightforward,
Right.
and sometimes they're just kind of boring, in that sense of like how they get in there, but the impact is more interesting. This one, I'm pretty curious as to how this would work and how someone could accomplish this, but it seems like
So,
they, yeah, go ahead.
I'm just reading it over
Hmm.
again. So, are you thinking like basically the user selects something in the UI where then like the date picker dialog, or as they call it, the date picker flyout? I've never heard the term flyout before.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's a UI thing, like
I think
where like you click the like set the date,
right, and then
whether
you got the
and then it
calendar.
just whoop, pops out.
Yeah,
But I don't think the user does this. I think the attacker does this.
it
And so
triggers.
the attacker has like a foothold, and they
Yeah,
run something scripted to trigger that. And that's like if it's connected. I don't know if like you have to have a device connected to it, like to access that particular date picker flyout. This is all speculative here.
yeah.
Um, so like you might be safe by not having a phone attached to your device. Don't know. But I will say, in terms of detecting it, you're going to want to look for like application spike errors in like the Windows UI. And we'll post all this in the blog that accommodates it, because like the date picker flyout presenter, the shell experience host.exe, or the phone experience host.exe. So look for event IDs like 1000 and 1001 pairs, stuff like that to help detect it. That or also unusual packaged apps invoking flyouts rapidly. So it sounds like they try to just keep triggering this flyout, and
Yeah,
then
like anomalous application behavior.
yeah, until they run it up. Yeah, and then it gives them their priv-esque.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, just keep
it's
spamming.
yeah.
I did look it up really quick. Yes, it looks like date picker flyout. It's like a way to give the user a way to pick a date, as we speculated. This thought does really.
It's so simple. Like
Never heard flyout, but I guess it kind of makes sense. But then you have like hamburger menu and all these other weird.
yeah,
And, yeah.
it's just whatever they want to call it, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, it looks like if you can't patch this, the best thing to do for hardening would be to limit, what packages can be installed on your devices. Don't allow untrusted packages to be installed without approval first. Um, you know, give access only to standard users and disable side loading. Basically, lock in that phone link. And so, yeah, I would guess if you can just disable that feature, you'd be fine. So again, I can't speculate appropriately whether or not it matters if you have a phone linked to it or if it's just usable as is. But if you can just disable it, if you don't want to patch, just turn it off. Otherwise, yeah, I think that kind of does it for the neat and interesting ones, in terms of like just eccentric, not neat and interesting. They're all interesting, eccentric, and so I think that kind of covers that one mostly. But Seth, you've got a spicy one too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, let's get into it. So this one's CVE 2020, 2025 54916, and it's a Windows NTFS remote code execution vulnerability. So here we are again, RCE, also with a buffer overflow. So, well, most people watching this probably already know, but I'll start with the basics. What is NTFS? That is New Technology File System. It says new, but obviously been around for a long time. That is the default file system used in Windows operating system. It's just how they store and organize files on disk. So this vulnerability, again, is a stack-based buffer overflow. And for a buffer overflow, think of it as a container in memory. And when you put more data into it than it can hold, the excess spills over into adjacent memory. Therefore, the attacker can take that spillage and inject malicious code. So that's the buffer overflow. So this one, the attacker does have to have a compromised account, whether that have been through phishing, getting their credentials, just from a compromised database, wherever the case is, they already have their initial foothold. Yeah. So then they will send their crafted packets or file requests into the NTFS component, and then that will trigger the overflow, therefore giving them keys of the kingdom to kind of do whatever they want, whether that be data exfiltration or triggering ransomware, whatever the case is. They now have access to do that. I will note that in this one, the user does not have to be admin. They can do this whether it be a regular user or a system admin on the local machine. However, given their current privileges will dictate what they can do on that network. So if it's just a basic low-level user, they're not going to be able to get too much, still can probably browse laterally. But if they get a hold of an admin, then obviously they can do more on that network. So, and then you have the kind of prime targets for this, obviously critical infrastructure, things like hospitals, government agencies, and then your regular corporate networks, also prime targets, just trying to steal their secret sauce that they like to call it, That's basically what it is, how it works, what they can do, and then for your remediation, obviously, patch immediately. You can restrict NTFS exposure by limiting unnecessary file sharing things like that. Network segmentation, always super important. And then, your consistent monitoring with your SIM or whatever you're using to monitor. Keep an eye out for suspicious traffic, abnormal SMB traffic, things like that. Shut SMB off where you can. And then, of course, as always, least privilege. Don't give people stuff they don't need. So yeah, that's about it on that one.
Yeah, and you say like they might need like an already compromised account depending on like the type of service you're using. Like say like you're using Office 365 where like your password up there is typically linked to like devices and things of that nature. Say you're tying it into one of these more recent leaks that have occurred, data leakage, so hot right now. Like God forbid, like you have like your Intune account synced to any components and logins that were in the recent what was it, drift that just happened. If you had a credential in there as a service account that wasn't properly scoped, like think creatively here to protect yourselves. So that could really be an easy in if somebody got access to any of that. Like I don't know what kind of like, I know there was a good bit of data that came out of that, but I'm still not like, I mean, obviously they got them from compromised accounts. So if those accounts are tied to anything that could be used to log in on critical infrastructure, yeah. I know even out of precaution for us while we were unaffected, we still rotated anything that was even close to attached to that because we're paranoid here. We run a podcast around vulnerabilities. We're extremely paranoid. Even when we're not affected, we just take necessary precautions because that's just our guarantee. So, yeah.
The NTFS one, I'm wondering, how do you guys think that's triggered? Probably through some kind of like file operation or like a maliciously crafted file, like.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a number of things. I mean, it could be an actually crafted file, or it can just be a couple lines of code to get in to execute something to get that foothold.
Yeah, my bet's on file. It'll be interesting to see if anything of like what comes out from that. So I'm really interested. But
yeah. Cool. Well, I think that about does it for us today. Any closing remarks, or are we all good here?
Patch your stuff.
They always stay.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening today. Stay safe, and we'll see you in October.
See ya.
See ya.
See ya.